Welcome to the Football Show here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff and Alison McConnell here with me on this Tuesday. The countdown to the start of the season is well and truly underway. And don't forget, if you're going to join us throughout the season, don't forget to tell your friends, share our live feed, and if you get a chance, hit that subscribe button as well. We'd love to have you on board for the season. There's lots of big plans, as I've mentioned on yesterday's programme. There'll be competitions, more features, more content, and I think you will enjoy a lot of the things we have planned for you this season. As ever, we'll read out a few of your messages, providing, of course, they keep it decent for another season, Ruffy. But other than that, we're delighted to welcome Ali back with us. Everybody's had a well-earned rest, and it looks as if you've done a bit of sun worshipping, Alison.
No, just the wonders of Clinique.
There you are, there's another sponsor mentioned we haven't tried yet. Really looking forward to a new season, and of course, what we are going to mention, hopefully you'll bring it in on Friday. I know it's on your mantelpiece. You'll need to bring in the trophy, because that's when the real gauntlet is thrown down again. You are the predictor champion. Have you enjoyed your summer of being the leader, the winner, the overall title winner?
I've enjoyed it so much. I'm thinking maybe I should just resign post now, and bow out as a undefeated champion.
Yep, you were well worthy of it, by the way. But
I shall return it on Friday, and you can try and take it off me this season.
Yeah, well, the only reason we want you is to show exactly what's up for grabs, and then you can take it back, because we'll need to get a new trophy made, Ruffy. I think it's my turn this time to buy the trophy.
Yeah,
I thought it was a great turn by you.
No, I thought we'd just keep the one go. Just keep adding the names round about it. You know, surely that's what you do with trophies.
There's not too many names could be added to that trophy, Ruffy.
Trophy cost me a £5.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to so many people who are joining us and joining the football show, and actually telling their mates. Tommy Adams is in sunny Thailand, and we've enjoyed ourselves over the summer. Certainly had a long rest, and lots of people, Ruffy, have been asking us when the show is coming back. So, you know, we've got a huge group of people who watch the show, and obviously I think this season, the way things were going last season, we're going to have more and more people joining us and getting involved.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, obviously I meet a lot of people out there where I'm shopping, playing golf, bowls or whatever, and everybody was asking when we'll be back, so I think a lot of them were surprised that we were back yesterday. So that'll give them time to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to catch up, you can do on our app, PLZ Soccer's app. You can download it in the App Store and Google Play. It has all the breaking football stories, and you can interact with us as well on submissions. Just put in any message whatsoever, and if it's got a good point to make, we'll read it out for you. It's as simple as that, and we'll try not to talk over each other, which seems to be the latest thing that's happening whenever there's a debate, Ali, on telly. So we'll try and get a bit of order all the way through, and lots to talk about as well. Who's going to win the league? Ali has actually put her 1 to 12. Who's going to win the League Cup? Who's going to win the Scottish Cup? So it's going to be really difficult. I'm really interested to read out on Friday Ali's prediction for all for all three trophies.
I'm sure a lot of people will be interested as well.
Based on the home strip she's wearing today. If it's him, I'll be gobsmacked. Anyway, I'm going to get your thoughts, Ali, because if anything, I think, well, here's what I mean. At this moment, it's guesswork. Greg says, negative comments from Peter yesterday about Aberdeen. You can't help yourself, can you? I think the teams that are exciting me are teams that I think are looking and thinking, how can we create? How can we score goals? I think Hearts look a real promising prospect again for third place, Ali, because I think Forest is a great acquisition for them. Shankland as well. You can see the intent there. It's early days for Aberdeen. I'm not sure how the clear out and how Jim Goodwin's team, I think, has to hit the ground running. And I think Tammy McManus mentioned yesterday, you know, they've got 4 wins out of 4 in the League Cup section, so that will build confidence.
Yeah, I think maybe it just helps create a tone and a culture. Those League Cup games, I know they draw criticism for the nature of the games and when they come, but
do you agree with the criticism?
Not really. I think you'd probably rather be playing competitive games than anything else, but I can understand why managers would be critical of it. I think what you have seen a certain kind of rustiness in some teams that I've watched. Certainly, I thought St Johnstone really toiled at the weekend. I was at McDermott Park on Saturday, but I think Aberdeen will be encouraged by the start that they've made. I think the 4 wins will help them. I think it was a desperately poor campaign from them last year. I think there needs to be an immediate improvement and an immediate reaction. I've obviously brought in quite a number of players in trying to knit them together over this summer, but I think because of how desperate it was for much of last season, I think there's probably not a lot of time to get it right. I think they'd probably be looking to get results immediately. I don't think there's room for a staccato start to the campaign.
Yeah, interesting that point. I'm going to pick up on a number of them. I think Stephen Bonner really has set the tone for the whole season for us, Ruffy, and what we can expect. Stephen says, how did Alan not get freed from PLZ at the end of last season?
Because I've got a good contract.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sitting tight.
It's a rolling contract. Let's put it this way, Ruffy. If I'm going, you're going. It's as simple as that. We're going out this door together.
I actually thought you said Ali.
Yeah, no. You can stay as well. You've earned your place. You're the champion predictor. We are going to get lots of competitions for you and lots of things that I think you might like to get your hands on over the course of the season. So quite simply, hopefully you'll join us 4 till 5. If you can't, you can watch it later on YouTube and on the app as well. So well worthy of doing that. And we will be posting right across all our social media as well. We already had a look yesterday at the Premier Sports Cup draw. It's interesting though, and this is something, Ruffy, that I think a lot of people will become fully aware of with the acquisition of Premier Sports from Viaplay. They already have the Scotland Internationals. They'll now have both cup competitions. You know, people are fans are being asked to spend a lot of money on, subscriptions to channels to watch Scottish football. And I think personally, once we get to August, September, a lot of people are going to be feeling the pinch. And I wonder if, out with Celtic, Rangers and Hearts, who've sold out their season ticket allocation, I wonder if people will start to, as my old mother used to say, draw their horns in.
Yeah, I think obviously there's a lot going on, Mickey. Everybody, the time you turn on the telly, you're talking about economic crisis and people are struggling to pay bills, and that watching football could be a secondary. There's other more important things you've got to do. So I think football really has to get their head around and in between. That the people aren't getting hit everywhere. And it'd be interesting to see if somebody comes up with some kind of idea. I know there's a lot of streaming goes on at the games as well. Clubs are trying to bring in some money doing that as well.
Well, that won't happen anymore because I think that was down to Sky giving
the leeway because of the COVID. Yeah, you're right. So season tickets, some people will really need their season ticket money. There's no doubt about that. But we'll just have to keep an eye on what the crowds are. And where people are deciding to go. Yeah,
I think people are going to have to be clever again. I mean, if anything, I thought the one club that really had a PR success was Motherwell because of the way they looked at it and said, okay, we've sold David Turnbull, we're going to use some of that money, we're going to make sure that the fans who have season tickets are getting them for nothing. And they come up with all sorts of incentives as well, as did a number of clubs who were really, really clever in the way they tried to entice people back to the game. But you know better than anybody, Alison, with your family, you've got school commitments. People have got to get school uniforms for people. You're obviously in this situation now where Celtic and Rangers fans will have European football in some shape or form. It's incredible. Plus, you're looking at saying, do I want Sky? Do I want to then go and subscribe to Viaplay or Premier Sports as it's going to be known? I
think it's when you look at all the different platforms, it really is a multi-platform access in terms to watch games. I think you could be out a considerable amount over a monthly basis if you count up a Sky Sports subscription, BT Sports, Premier Sports, if you access club television channels for exclusive content for interviews that way, as I know a number of supporters will. I think if you add it up, it's a substantial fee on top of everything else that you are committed to. And I think in terms of the economy just now, and we talk about the cost of living and fuel bills and energy bills and petrol prices all going through the roof, food prices, I think it becomes a luxury item. It becomes one of the things that you can cut without losing a quality of life. You know, it's not an essential bill, and I think it is one of the things that you would look to cut back on if you are faced with any kind of economic issues. And
yeah, well, heating I haven't even mentioned yet. I mean, the energy bills are going to really is going to kick in.
Yeah, I think it is definitely something that will be considered by many people, and I think the problem is that you don't just have one streaming service, you don't just have access to one platform that gives you everything.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I think is going to come in, and I'm not for a minute advocating it because I have any involvement with them whatsoever, Ruffy, but I know a few people who work there, and I think that the DAZN blueprint will be something that a lot of people will look at in the future in this country, in the UK, which is quite simply, if you're in Europe, you want to watch Italian football, you want to watch a boxing match, you can pay the tenner. Mm-hmm. And you've no subscription charge. You just pay the tenner. You can watch it on your iPad, your phone. You can put it on, stream it on your television. That's your tenners for that game, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody will be looking at avenues to beat everybody else, you know, so you would think the competitiveness of all that going on, that at the end of the day the consumer will get a good deal, you know, because they'll all start cutting it, so when there's deals like that going about. So we really just have to wait and see. I mean, a friend of mine, who I won't name on the show, has got a wee fan zone in his garage, and he has got that subscription that you've got, and he can actually tune into, I think it's 15, 20 games, just by clicking anywhere at all, Europe or abroad.
I think Bob's just said, you know, it's £120 for a Fire Stick commitment to whatever subscription is there, but you know, listen, the money kicks in. People are going to obviously pick and choose, I think, and as you say, Ruffy, you'll be a good indicator of the way it's going, because obviously having an insight into the way Partick Thistle fans are reacting or not is going to be interesting. Over and above that, also, as far as the actual season starting, incidentally, so some people are talking about we're advertising illegal streams. We're talking about people buying,
paying for legal content.
Paying for legal content, how they download it and where they make the subscription to. The fact that some people have got dishes the size of a nuclear fallout shelter, and they can get in this area any channel they want, is another matter, Ruffy.
Yeah.
That's for them to deal with, not for me.
No, I mean, neither. I mean, I'm subscribing obviously to Sky Sports and Premier Sports, because these are the stations that I want to see, the games, the internationals, the big European games. So I would be interested to see what the Aberdeen supporter, the Motherwell, if they're buying into that. Are they interested in picking up Premier Sports? Because they're going to see their games anyway, so they might be the ones who would benefit from it.
Yeah, okay. You can give us your thoughts on that. Would you be cutting back? Would you be cutting back on buying, you know, the replica top for your kids? Would you be cutting back in the games? Are you going to be picking and choosing the tournaments that you're going to watch your favourite team in? And who's going to win the league? We'd love to hear your prediction on who's going to win the league and why, who's going to be relegated, who's going to have a good season or a bad season. We're only giving you the early indications. A lot of the clubs are making their moves now. The champions Celtic, this is their squad strength at the moment. Alison, do you think it needs more or less? And if it needs more, how many more? When you look at the overall squad that he has in the positions, Hart, Siegrist, Bain, and their centre backs, Julian, Starfelt, Jens, Carter Vickers, Rogaid, Welsh, and then Juranovic, Ralston, Taylor, Bernabe, Forrest, Abada, Johnston, Jota, and then you've got Moy, Turnbull, McCarthy, Ideguchi, Shaw, O'Reilly, Hatate, McGregor, and then even in that striking role, Giacomakis, Kyogo, Kenny, Ayeti and Maeda.
I think it's a fairly strong squad now. I think you can see Ange Postecoglou's influence over the 3 windows that he's had available to him. I think from middle to front, particularly, I think there are genuine options.
Yeah.
I think defence has still got a question mark over it. I think the back four still got a question mark over it.
In what respect?
I'm interested to see what will happen with Christopher Julian. I just wonder if it makes sense for him to go before the window closes. I think it's fairly clear that he's not part of the first team plans.
I don't think yet he is either.
I wouldn't have thought. I think there's a number who fall into that category. I think you would expect to see them to go.
Mikey Johnson?
I think it would be beneficial to Mikey Johnson to go and get first team football somewhere. I don't think he's going to get that at Celtic Park just now, and I don't think he's going to get that this season.
Would you like to see him at a Scottish club, or do you think there's any benefit in throwing him down to a championship club down south?
And there's also the link with Ronnie Dyla, going back and teaming up with Ronnie Dyla's side. I don't think it really matters. I think what the key is to go and play regular first team football. I think there's obviously a frustration on his part that he's not been able to cement a first team place. I think there's been various reasons for that, including injury at key points in seasons and missing football, but I think he's at an age and a stage of his career where he has to be playing on a regular basis, and I don't see that happening this season at Celtic.
Yeah. I mean, as Ali's mentioned there's a number of players who might be looking and thinking, how often am I going to play? One of them for Celtic is McCarthy. I mean, McCarthy's been in for a season already, Ruffy, and it's here and there. You don't see him on a regular basis starting games.
No, I think he's going to be a fringe player. I think he's going to have to decide that that's where he's going to be, and he'll be limited in the many games he gets. But he's certainly the kind of player, if they're on the bench, that he's got quality. There's no doubt about it. He's not going to let you down if he gets on. But I think there are other people still ahead of him. My biggest worry is Starfelt. I just can't get my head round that he is the centre half that Celtic should have.
Are we being unkind to him right at the start of the season? He had a good finish to the season.
Yeah, but I always feel as if when Celtic are getting beat, he's there or thereabouts. There's always a player like that who is. Yeah. I don't want to say bomb scare, because I don't think he's a bomb scare. I think he's a very, very good player. He just seems to dive in all the time. He seems to get drawn out in positions. And you've
gone early with your first hook of the season, by the way.
No, so it'll be interesting to see what the new centre half is, because I think that's one of the reasons he's been brought in there. I don't think the manager's 100% behind him as well.
Yeah, I wonder what that partnership's going to be. Who's going to be in there as a central defensive partnership?
I think that's quite a harsh assessment, I would have to say.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of Starfelt at the start of the season, but he kind of grew into the position. Because he missed a pre-season
and everything. I actually thought they were a fairly solid...
I think Premier League, no problem.
The stats back it up.
Premier League, no problem. Put him into Europe against better sides, and then I think that's when he gets fun out of it.
Well, I think the other thing about it is you get a start to the season from both Celtic and Rangers that, from August, once they know where they are European-wise, then you start to get a different attitude from, both halves on their squads. Once they know they're involved in a competition that they're definitely going to be able to commit to tickets, then suddenly it gets cranked up on, well, we know they can start well in the Scottish Premiership. What are they going to do in Europe? And then it gets cranked up again. So it'll be interesting. I must admit, I'm going to lay off Starfelt until I see where Ange Postecoglou is going to go with his side. As far as Rangers are concerned, just on the back of yesterday and the confirmation of Yilmaz being signed, here's their squad, Ali. You wonder if he's going to use McGregor as the backup to McLaughlin now. McCrory's there. Then it's Suter, Helander, Goldson, Simpson, Davis, King and Katic. Barisic and Yilmaz. Tavernier, Zukowski is the options in the back line. Then you've got Kent, Sakala. Again, some of these players that I'm mentioning could go. Matondo looked good in the game against Tottenham. There's Wright. And then your midfield, Lowry, Lundstrom, Hadji, Jack, Davis, Kamara, Sands, Arfield, Tillman, Lawrence, Middleton. And then up front, Kolak, Roof and Morelos. Although, I keep hearing Kemar Roof being mentioned with a number of clubs as well. So
Kamara's another one who's been linked with clubs away. I wonder about Glenn Middleton too, if he might fancy another loan spell. I think it's a fairly strong squad too. I think if you look at it's quite bloated in places. I think when you look at key areas of the pitch, I just wonder if there's a number that might go before the window closes. I think if you were to assess both squads, if you were to put Celtic and Rangers up there alongside one another, I think they are very evenly matched. I think they both have strengthened. I think they've both brought in some quality. I think there's very little between them at the minute when you look at it in terms of what they offer. I think it'll be very close, this campaign, and I think what might be definitive, as we all tend to say, is the the games between Celtic and Rangers over the course of the 4 games over the course of the campaign.
Yeah, strangely enough, I didn't think it last year. I don't think it this year. I do agree with Ali on the basis that I think they're very tight. I do like the fact that I think both teams are going to try and play that high press again this season. You know, this is now a Giovanni Van Bronckhorst side, and he's got players that can create things down the flanks, which I think is key. And Celtic, as ever, you know, have got players that are just as exciting. So if you could drive a piece of paper between the two of them, Ruffy. I think there's much of a muchness. I think 1 or 2 signings might just make the difference here and give them a real confidence boost. I still think, although Giovanni Van Bronckhorst says that's it, I think if a couple go out, you might look to somebody before that window closes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll have to wait and see. The deadline's still a wee bit away, but I still think, looking at the 2 squads, I think apart from Hearts, you know, I think the other teams have got a problem. They squads will blow everybody else out the water. For me, I'm not saying a 3-horse race.
You think more than 25 points?
Yeah, easily. With the way that both of them have strengthened, and everybody else has tried to strengthen because they had to.
Yep.
You know, Aberdeen and Hibs had to. I don't think they've pushed the boat out enough to close that gap, and I think they too have, and I think it will be bigger.
Do you share that view?
Yeah, I do. I think you've almost got 2 leagues. In fact, you've almost got three leagues. I think you can end up with a couple marooned at the bottom, a core in the middle, and then I think you'll have Celtic and Rangers way out in front.
It's funny, I was at a press conference tail end of last season, and Robbie Nielsen just basically turned around and said, you know, the job now is to build on what we've been doing and close the gap and really challenge Celtic and Rangers. That was his words in a press conference, and I looked and I thought, maybe a bit over ambitious, but I do like the way he's recruited at Hearts. I do like the players that he's signed. I think it's a real sign of intent with Forrest. I think if you've got creativity, and then maybe Shanklin, if he can somehow replicate that season he had a couple of seasons ago, then you never know.
Yeah, and I think what he'll be pleased about is that there's a fairly solid foundation in place from last season, that they're then introducing creative, attacking players to come in, but you're not asking them to come in and turn things around. You're not asking, it's not an Aberdeen situation where you're looking to players to bring a spark, to drive a change.
Yeah, when I say you never know, Ali, I mean cut it to less than 25 points. He thinks 25 points. I think if Hearts could, you know, maybe 1 or 2 more in a kind of a really positive sense. It's very difficult to get them, but if you can get some players who've just got that hunger and have also got a trick, because we love players who can create something.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think it's a very laudable ambition from Hearts to say we're going to go out and we're going to try and challenge. I think it's what you want to hear. If you're a Hearts supporter, that's music to your ears. You want to have faith that your club is going to be going hell for leather to be the best that they can be. I think realistically, the finances and resources that Celtic and Rangers have just outstrip the rest by such a distance that I think that ends up reflective in the table.
You have to be realistic. Rangers have just went out and bought a fullback for £5 million. I mean, Hearts haven't spent anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got to pick wisely and hope that the players you bring in are possibly give you a better input than what you thought they would.
Yeah.
You know, but
and Morelos, is he got a big part to play this season?
I think if he signs a contract and gets his head down, you know, he's a proven goal scorer in the Premiership. He's been really good in Europe. You know, I think he's drifted with the injury that he's had. So I think he needs a commitment. He needs a commitment to get himself back to where he was, you know, because we all talk about fitness in the players just now. He looks off it just now, but if he signs a new contract and obviously the manager has a word with him, you know, and he settles down, he's definitely a quality player.
Yeah, I like reading out some of the messages we do get in the live feed, just to give us a sense of balance of whether we're still the full shilling or not. Because Jackie has basically nailed his colours to the mast, and he says Celtic will have a lead at the top before the first derby at Celtic Park. Then they'll go even further ahead. Celtic will win all 38 league games this season. and then there's a hiccup after it, and that must have been obviously because he's had his third can of Kestrel. And Stephen says, I think we're all happy that the footy is back. It gives a balance to one's life. Now there's a bit of Aristotle for you, Ruffy. It gives a balance to one's life. Fantastic.
I mean, it's amazing, you know, what the football here does. I mean, if you look at the fans and they love every minute of it. You know, they just. I still think they don't get enough.
Yeah.
Turning up at 2:30 to see a game at 3 o'clock and it's finished and they go home.
Well, per head of you know, when you look at the per head of population, we are a nation obsessed. We are obsessed. We're in the top 5 all the time. The problem for us, Ali, is, and I bleat on about it, and I know somebody would gleefully, you know, absolutely batter me over the head with a baseball bat with it, but I really would love for Scottish football to go and get some kind of marketing guru and a commissioner to take it over to bring more money to the other clubs, because see if we get to the end of August and all the clubs are out apart from Celtic and Rangers again, which I think is a realistic hope, apart from Hearts who are going to be guaranteed European football thanks to Rangers. It's a sad indictment of our game. I mean, this is Motherwell have to do something tomorrow on Thursday night. It's an embarrassment watching them last week.
It was a dreadful result last week. It really was appalling, and I fear for Motherwell actually this season. I have to be honest. I think I thought they were very erratic last term, and I think what you've seen so far in these League Cup games and then the result last Thursday night, I don't think it augurs well at all.
Yeah, we have to have clubs doing well. We have to have, you know, I was watching something on Man United TV a couple of weeks ago, Ruffy, and just shows you how bored I am. But I was watching something on Man United TV. It was just basically the class of '92. I was just talking about, you know, you have to. Invest in younger players. You have to give them the chance. There's got to be a pathway for young Scottish players to make an impression in our game, and I think if people really invested in that and gave them the opportunity, there's so many other complex reasons as to why some managers are not, but we need to improve our game even more. If Steve Clarke gave us a bonus and a boost from getting to 1 major championships, we need more and more people playing.
Yeah, we need more and more people like Billy Gilmore getting a game. Yeah, you know, and getting settled down, because we're talking about the Scottish team now, but there are a lot of players out there. There's no doubt young players, but it's getting into the team, getting into the Celtic team, getting into the Rangers team. You know, it must be difficult. You see them bringing in players at 5 million, 6 million, 7 million, and if you're a young player, you must be sitting there going, we're going to get a chance. Yeah. Am I that good? I have to say that we have got one Rangers player, Cole McKinnon, who has, I think he's 18 or something. He is awesome. Yeah. No, so we're giving him a chance. Yeah. You know, Rangers and Celtic are now saying to these young boys, go out, you know, a level, you know, and show what you can do, and that might be the way ahead, that they get regular games. Yeah, well, the one thing about it, Ali, is the reserve league has been brought back, and this is a statement from the SPFL regarding the return of the reserve league, and I think it's a good thing for a lot of clubs. The SPFL Cinch Reserve League, which is backed by the SPFL's title sponsor, which as we know is Cinch, is to be reintroduced following discussions with member clubs. The league was paused in season 2019-20 due to the pandemic and will now kick off for the first time in over 2 years on Tuesday, September 6th. There are a total of 10 clubs taking part, and clubs will play each other once across the season. The SPFL League can also confirm the return of the Reserve Cup for season 22-23. The draw and fixtures for the Cinch Reserve Cup will be published on Tuesday, August 2nd. So there's going to be an obvious situation where you're going to get, hopefully, older men, younger guys coming through, learning off each other, playing football, and then hopefully there's a pathway for them.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think the competitive nature of the games is important. I think sometimes having more senior players maybe coming back from injury or having been out the team for a while can be beneficial when you go in and play alongside emerging talent. But I think there's probably a wider conversation about the entire structure of youth football and how players are developed, about the quality of coaching that you have at various levels and the culture around coaching. I think it's been a perennial question.
Yeah,
in recent
it must be
decades,
getting better, Ali, because we're getting more and more people. We're getting more and more youngsters coming through, and a greater number of them are being cherry-picked, which is a problem, but it's a greater number of being cherry-picked by English clubs as if it's a drop in the ocean for them, but they'll say, we'll take them and see where it goes.
Particularly fullbacks. Seems to be something about growing fullbacks.
Absolutely, but I mean, I feel for Nathan Patterson. He's another one. Ruffy's mentioning Gilmore. I want to see Nathan Patterson go somewhere where he can get regular, football this season. I
think it's such a conundrum for players when they're put in that position, when there's a huge offer, a very enticing offer to go to a prestigious league, to come in. Finances obviously play a part in it, but you have to balance it, I think, always with the prospect of how much competitive football are you going to play. And I think when you get to the stage that Billy Gilmore's at, the stage that Nathan Patterson's at, and these are kind of shining lights, I suppose, of our youth system and Scottish talent and young emerging talent, I think when you go down to a club and you're not playing regularly, I think it is a problem. I think you have to be balancing it with playing on a regular basis, because it's the only way that you improve as a player, and it's the only way that you can really fulfil the potential that's clearly there. Yeah,
it is a dilemma. I'm going to put you really behind the 8 ball here, Ali, but if Ruffy and I were to offer you a 6-figure sum to sign full time for PLZ, but we said we were only going to pick and choose the games you could go to, can I have your answer, please?
Yes.
You see, Ruffy, that opinion held for about 1.2 seconds.
I'm not young. I'm not emerging talent. I think I've earned my stripes. I think I've earned my time on the bench.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, the money's not there. so keep grafting away at your current level. And with the other teams, Ruffy, I mean, St Johnstone have been in the market. They've signed a midfielder, William Sanford. Aberdeen have got Callum Roberts from Notts County, which again gives you the level. That's not to say these boys will not be stars for us, because there's been many players that have come from lower leagues in England and elsewhere in Europe, and you think, wow, what a good bit of scouting that was.
Mm-hmm. I think the best scouting's been Ross County. I know I usually sit here at the beginning of the season and have a wee go at them, and last year the evidence that Malky knows a player for down south, and he's had 2 or 3 brought in.
I think Malky's done a bit of PR on you though, by the way, because see, for about 6 seasons you've been scathing about Ross County. Some of our viewers have actually been like well hacked off with you.
I'm leaving Ross County. I've got Ross County breaking into the top 6, I think, this year.
Wow. Showing your hand too
early. If the players that
he's going to have to be drugs tested.
He's brought in. And I think they've got a sportsman's dinner this year as well.
Yeah, no surprise. Ali, is there a team apart from Motherwell that are worrying you? I mean, I've picked my 1 to 12 today. I've picked the League Cup winners. I've picked the Scottish Cup winners, and there's no treble anywhere to be seen. To be honest with you, if that gives you an insight on what I'm about to reveal on Friday. But is there a team that worries you?
St Johnstone too.
Same here.
I think I saw St Johnstone on Saturday. I thought they were poor. I thought they looked toothless. The same problems that have plagued them for so long. The first half performance, they should have been 2-3 goals up, game out of sight, can't put chances away. And then the second half, I think they could easily have conceded against Ayr. I think I would definitely fear for them going into the second season.
Before you flick away for Johnstone, can you just remind me what the strike force is? Because I know that they've lost a couple. And the boy West hasn't. May, sorry.
Stevie May played. Stevie May was ill.
The Henry's away down south, isn't he?
Yep.
So and Middleton's went away back to Rangers.
Theo Blair, they've signed. He was injured on Saturday.
Yeah. And Stevie May obviously played.
He was ill but played. But I just think they lack a bit of bite in the final third. Brought in Graham Carey, I think, one of the midfielders that they think they might look to for goals, but they look like a team who will scrape by in games. They'll maybe score 1. They're never going to be a team that score a lot of goals, and I think you would really fear for them, given what happened last season. And I think there feels as though there's a real hangover still around the club.
If anything, the real bonus for me for them is Andrew Considine. I think he'll bring a kind of a calmness and certainly an experience in that back line that might be the difference, it's going to be tight. I think they're going to be in trouble, but I think Considine will will help our back line to maybe not lose as many of the stupid goals. And if they're playing teams round about, it could be as tight as a 0-0 or a 1-0.
Well, it used to be the case that nobody wanted to play St Johnstone. Nobody wanted to go up there because they all knew how difficult they were to beat. But I mean, that's sort of went out the window now. Your teams were going up there and winning quite comfortably. So,
how did Jamie Murphy look?
Yeah, I thought he looked. He's an experienced player, and you know what you're going to get. But you also know that he's at the end of his career. He's in the twilight time of his career. I think he needs something else alongside him. I think he needs a bit of runners alongside him. Ryan McGowan has come in. I think obviously he might offer a bit of experience in the middle of the park as well.
Wright.
But Andre Wright. They have added to the pool, but I think the collective still feels short.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that all pans out. Thanks to so many people who have posted messages on who's going to win. Greg Campbell says, Peter, is there a PLZ match score predictor that the guest can join in? And he says, if not, I'll build one for you. Greg, you'd never believe it. It is in the pipeline to get a predictor that everybody can join in with, Ruffy. We are in discussions about that at the moment. There's so many things going on, as you know, with PLZ, with content and with lots of other things that we're going to be introducing, and of course prizes for a number of people. Predictor would be great. I mean, to get the punters involved as well, so that basically I can read out their messages slaughtering us, and then we can absolutely look up the league table and slaughter them right back.
Well, I'm just trying to think how that's all going to work and who's going to control it all, because we've got a lot of listeners who want to contribute.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great one. I think a weekly prize. We are discussing at the moment, Ali, a weekly prize. What I think for the predictor for punters. Which would be absolutely fantastic if you get to a situation where you're trying to get as many points as possible. And I think, without being too arrogant about it all, I think I got the highest total in 1 week with 21 points. Didn't win it. I think I came second overall. You won it, but
no cigars for one good week.
No, absolutely. Well, to be fair, I know players that have got signed on one good week. 21 points is a tough call, but you need to have an absolute raker of a weekend.
Yeah, did Druffy not get 21 the week he put in his the time he was really hungover and
no, I don't think
he was very drunk.
It was 19.
Time he was drunk.
Oh no, it was 19. That was that one. I couldn't even see the paper when I was mapping.
That time when you were absolutely
but we all have had a nothing.
Oh, we've all had a nothing.
Yes.
We've had a nothing because there have been some zany results. So
Some of us more often than others.
absolutely. And Frank Brennan says, listeners, Ruffy. See, Ruffy still thinks he's on real radio, which is as simple as that. He doesn't look at it as viewers. He was like that when we were on STV as well. And the good thing is we do have lots of listeners because there's lots of people who are downloading the podcast. Thousands upon thousands of you have made it a really successful podcast for us as well, because lots of people like to tune into it. You can get it on Deezer, you can get it on Spotify as well, and a number of other platforms, including Libsyn, where you can listen to the programme too. And there are special guests coming in on a regular basis, Ruffy, this season as well. So not just from the Premiership here in Scotland.
We never have been just the Premiership.
No, absolutely.
We never have been for day one. We've been every division. And even down through the junior, we've done the junior, we've done everybody.
Yeah.
You know, we've never been a show that's actually concentrated or given everybody a fair shot.
Yeah. Greg says, Peter, will this be ready for this season opening? Greg, to coin an old phrase from one of my mates, there's not a catch chance in hell it's going to be ready. I'm trying like a madman. We are spinning about 50 plates at the moment, Ruffy, on all the exciting things that are coming up.
Yeah, and obviously you only tell me some of them, you know, because unless I let it slip,
yes,
that what we're doing. But I'm sure everybody that tunes in will find it an exciting season.
Yeah,
I've got my own view in the predictor thing. You were thinking me.
Go on.
I think we should have one predicting person every week, and they go a total the same as us. We pick Jimmy Lawson.
Yes.
He's that week and he gets 15 points. Next week we pick Matt Wallace, and they're part of a team. They're their whole team, a different person every week.
Tell me you're following it.
Yes. I know what you mean.
What do you?
Yeah.
So you have a viewers team
Your
and
viewers team,
the
and they
person making the selection changes every week.
We pick somebody every
Yeah,
week.
right. Okay.
That saves you all the...
Yeah, but the point here, Ruffy, is if everybody goes into a predictor with a kitty, suddenly you could have massive prizes for everybody, and it would be well worthwhile if you sit and you have
Something better than a trophy.
See, I mean, you were cock out because you've never won anything in your life. I was looking at you last season at the end of the season thinking, wow, what a loser she is. but nevertheless, you were well happy with it. But the fact our listeners and viewers want a bit of dosh or something substantial,
okay,
Ruffy.
No, well.
I mean, you've got to have a good prize at the end of it. Do you remember the boy who won the car? I mean, he was absolutely ecstatic. You win a 35,000 SUV, Alec Ray's pinged it through the window, and I mean, it was a great day, wasn't it?
Well, I'm not going to do that again.
35 grand cars are hard to come by. But nevertheless, I think we've got to give them a really good prize.
Okay.
So, Greg, thank you for that offer. We are genuinely going to get some of that and some really good competitions as well. We're in discussions with it. It will absolutely happen. That is a stonewall certainty before we even get to 2023. So, we'll keep you up to date with that. One other thing, we're talking about clubs spending money, and some clubs have spent money in Scotland. England is on a totally different stratosphere. But I wonder in the UEFA situation here, Ali, and it absolutely irks me. And I'm a big Barcelona fan. I love watching Barcelona. But I don't know how they're getting away with it. I mean, they've asked De Jong to take a 50% pay cut, but they've spent 45 million on Lewandowski.
I think if you were De Jong, I think you would be consulting your legal team about that, because it's clearly in breach of all financial regulations.
Absolutely.
The fact that they are...
They're 1.5 billion in debt, and then, okay, they've sold the stadium rights.
They're essentially gambling on the money that's still to come in. They're spending money on TV rights that they've still to come back in.
They've sold a substantial amount, even more, on their TV rights for the next 50 years.
Yeah, it's getting to the stage where...
Precarious.
Incredibly precarious. And we've seen it here. We've seen what happens. You can't always keep going on foundations of sand.
Yes.
I think eventually people come calling for money at some stage, and you run out of opportunities to keep selling future things.
Yes.
It's very dangerous. But I think in terms of the player's perspective there, I think you would be consulting your lawyers to say this is clearly in breach of all the financial regulations that surround football.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's no such a thing as, we've often said, Ruffy, there's no such a thing as sporting integrity when it comes to football and many other sports, I have to say, sadly, because human nature for some people is to work out as many ways as they can to cheat the system. Mm-hmm. And I think a number of European clubs are cheating the system. Some state-run clubs are cheating the system. It's a nonsense. UEFA are toothless when it comes to trying to rein them in here.
I was just going to say that. I mean, the powers that be should be the ones that are dictating, the ones that are getting punished. But as you've just said there, the big clubs have ways and means of getting away with it. You just employ somebody to come up with some, financial way to not fall into the trap that they're supposed to get into, and they're getting away with it. And until such times as somebody gets really hammered, then they are going to get away with it.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to pan out. I just think it's wrong that a club so much in debt and spinning plates can ask players to take a wage cut and sign one of the most prolific goal scorers in European football over the last 10 years alongside Messi and Ronaldo.
Of course it is. Even on a purely moral basis, it's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Players, I think, have got a lot of power these days. Certainly they want to try and determine their own future. The clock is ticking on Ronaldo. The big speculation is in the meeting today with George Mendes and the Manchester United board and Eric Ten Hag, is he wants to finish off his career with a club that can give him Champions League football. I think a lot of people will be unhappy because it was great to get him back at United for nostalgic reasons. I think he's been a success. I'm a huge fan of Ronaldo. Can you understand his position? Do you think United fans will look at it with the same sympathy?
No, I don't. I think I think it's probably the right thing for him and for Man United that he goes. I don't know that he was quite the success that you seem to think he was.
Oh, right.
I think, I'm just not sure it always works when you bring a player back, especially with the status, clearly, of Ronaldo into the dressing room.
Yeah.
I can understand where he's coming from in terms of wanting to play Champions League football going into the end of his career, and I think he still clearly has something to offer. I think there's no doubt that he's still an extraordinary talent. I think he's something he could enhance a Champions League team. But I think it's the right thing for him to cut ties with Man United.
Yeah. Rafi, what do you make of that?
I was surprised there. You said that he still wants to play Champions League and wants to be with a top team to keep winning things.
Yeah.
I thought he's had a fantastic career. I thought he'd be heading for America as well. I think they all seem to think America's the happy hunting ground to finish your career. They don't need the money.
Ronaldo's not an MLS Bale player.
No,
Ronaldo's a guy who thrives on the Champions League and the Ballon
Yeah, no,
d'Or.
well that's him that's saying that, but I just think he'd be ideal for the MLS.
Yeah.
He would absolutely nail it over there.
I think that'll come later. I think it's too early.
Yeah.
Just now.
Brilliant. It's a great line, isn't it? I think that'll come later. He's 37. He's 37. He'll be 38 in February. But I don't agree with
that.
Ali.
Absolutely adored over there.
Yeah, I know he would, but I don't.
Get
I think it's
the way
personal.
he should get treated.
But I don't agree with Ali, because he was brought in to score goals. Mm-hmm. It's that Ronseal moment. He did exactly what it says on the tin. He scored over 25 goals for Manchester United. And I don't know, but the team's mediocre, to say the very least. I mean, you've got a charlatan like Pogba. The quicker they got him out the door, the better for me last season. And he's out for 3 months for Juventus this season. I just think Ronaldo was, I watched him in the first game against Newcastle at Old Trafford, and then from there, when they needed big goals, if it hadn't been for him, they would have been in big trouble. They would have been mid-table. And even then, it's a poor season.
But it's amazing the way the game's moved on now. That even players like Ronaldo don't seem to be a team fit, if you know what I mean. Some managers have got an idea of how they want their team to play, and for some reason, they might think that a player Ronaldo doesn't fit into the 11. The style that they're going to play, a pressing game or whatever you call it, and a play like that can become a luxury. I mean, it's up to the manager himself, and they all have different ideas of what they want their team to be and what kind of players they want in their team, and it seems incredible that you wouldn't want a Ronaldo in your team.
Yeah, I don't think he was the problem. I mean, if if people are looking to get a number of them in front of the firing squad here, an £89 million defender who's their captain, who was just laughable, is where I think the most anger should be put towards. But DPG says Ronaldo can't be called a success when the team fell apart. He's a cult player. You won't win the Champions League with him. Too divisive, but he is a great. I have to say there were 4 or 5 players that I thought weren't worthy of the United shirt.
I thought they felt very disjointed as a team. I thought you could sense a lack of cohesion. I think you could sense a lack of camaraderie too within the team. I think there were all sorts of issues that plagued them and have plagued them over recent seasons. In terms of Ronaldo, I think he's still driven by this intent to be the best, him and Messi and what they've got in terms of the stats. I think that's the whole push to be still part of the Champions League and be successful in that vein.
I'm not so sure either of them have got a Champions League in them left, a winning Champions League.
I think they've now got a challenger in Haaland.
Yeah, but
There's somebody
it's a new generation.
They've had nobody hanging about. They've always been number 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But now they've got somebody, I think, if we're led to believe, through Hugh, how good that player that is.
22. I mean, he's
going to be
only
sensational. But listen, time catches up with everybody, Rafi, as you know, and these two guys have absolutely dominated for a decade, and I think I just think it's been a joy to watch both of them blitz record after record from each other and from the history books. I mean, they've been a sensational watch and an absolute joy. I still think Ronaldo is undervalued in his place in history, and when he eventually hangs up the boots, I think a lot of people will maybe reevaluate his contribution because of the way Messi is you're always going to look at him favourably. He's been a genius, hasn't he?
I think too, just the different personalities of both of them have coloured that.
Yeah.
Has he been the same genius since he's went to Paris?
No, he hasn't. No, I think I don't think he wanted to go there.
No, but I mean, you have to start saying to yourself, why wasn't he the genius there?
Yeah.
With the three players he was playing up front with.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, the other aspect of the programme, we are going to obviously look at Scottish football in detail over the course of the season. We will cast our eye towards England because it is a football show. We will talk about it, not at any great length. Our priority is Scottish football, a wee bit of English football, and almost certainly European football. We've got plans for that for you as well. We're really looking forward to the start of the season. If you do get a chance, please hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. If you download the app, you can click straight through to podcasts if that's the way you want to actually listen to the show. You can get on podcasts on Spotify and of course on Libsyn as well. We'd love you to do that, and Deezer. Also, I think the best way is subscribing to our YouTube channel because there's so much content that we're going to bring you. So we're really, really pleased, and we'll keep you up to date across all our social media outlets. I'm really looking forward to the season. Tonight, Ali, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to sit down and watch England-Sweden in the Euro 2022 women's semi-final. I think it's going to be fantastic. I can't pick between the two of them because they've had great runs to the semi-final. It's going to be a great game. Yeah,
I think so. I think Sweden are very experienced in tournaments like this. They were the world number one for a long time and vied with America for that position. I think of late, England, you've seen the development that they've made, the strides forward they've made. I think it's an incredibly strong performance and incredibly strong campaign that they've had. I just wonder if their name might be on it.
Yeah.
I think they've got a really good chance.
Even with Germany and France in the other semi?
Got a very good chance of winning it.
Yeah.
I just think the quality that they've shown.
Is it home soil that's swaying you or just the quality?
I think both.
Yeah.
I think a bit of both. I think just the fact that they've looked fairly ferocious in the games that I've seen. I think they were maybe a bit lucky against Spain, but I think they look a real force to be reckoned with.
Are you picking England to win it?
Come on, I think they've definitely got a chance.
Yeah, I know they've definitely got a chance.
I think Sweden have got...
Don't give us a Ruffy-esque answer there. That's the laws of probability.
I think England will win it.
You think England will win it? Okay, Ruffy, I'm not going for that.
I'm going for Germany.
Germans. I know.
I don't want to play the Germans.
Oh, I'm going to go for Germany as well. Anyway, listen, we're really excited. You're going to be back in on Friday as well, Ali, because quite simply, we discussed yesterday on it, and it's going to get more and more ferocious the closer we get to the start of the season. Celtic, I think 6-4, Ruffy. Yesterday we looked at the bookmakers. Rangers were 11-8. Ross County 10-3 to be bottom. There are actually odds you can get unbeaten all season.
I think Celtic were 4-6.
46, sorry, 6-4 on them, 4-6, yeah. And also 25-1 to go unbeaten all season. Can't see that. 33-1 Rangers to go unbeaten all season. And you've got the likes of Colac at 10-1, Morelos 11-2, Giacomakis 5-1 and Kyogo 7-2. It's all in the melting pot, Ali, for the start of the season, isn't it? And I think there'll be I'm going to try and come up with a name of someone who's going to be a star out with the big two teams.
Okay.
Yep. As well, and I think if they, I'm not so sure about some aspects of Hibs' side, but I think McGeady will have a lot of assists.
Yeah, I think he's still got something about it. I saw a few highlights from their League Cup games and a couple of their training games when they were over in Portugal. Yeah, he's still got something. He's still got a real bit of quality about him.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he could overcome the shyness, Ruffy, I think he could be he could have been a real player.
I think he's still got that Mustang.
I'll never forget that. I'll tell you what he has got. If he's still got the Mustang, he's still got the tax-free money from Spartak Moscow in the boot. That's a stonewall certainty. Hugh Scott says Shanklin for top scorer, Peter. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Hugh, I wouldn't rule it out, and just quite simply because if you get supply to players in the box, Ruffy, that's what it's all about. You know it yourself. You played with some great players. I am a strong advocate of wingers into the box. Sir Alex Ferguson had it down to a T. You know, great teams have players that can supply. That's why Liverpool were winning the Champions League a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well, there's not that many centre forwards now score goals for you outside the box. So if you're inside the box and you're getting quality in the box, I mean, that's how they score goals. And the good ones are really good at it because they're half a yard ahead. Every time you mention Lawrence Shankland, I sit here, and 3 years ago we bid 150,000 for him at Partick Thistle from Ayr United.
Yeah, and he said no.
He said no. He was going to run down his contract, so we could be sitting here with millions. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. You could have been sitting with Partick Thistle, wondering if they're going to finish 6th or 7th in the Premier League. But of course, even if you had the chance to get into the Premier League, everybody would have had a WhatsApp call and voted you out. I just can't let it go, Ali. Sorry.
Who are we playing on Saturday?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
That'll be good.
That'll be good. Looking forward to it. Greg John, I think, is going to finish us off by saying, McGeady, Peter, you're having a laugh. That's the great thing about it. Listen, we can love and hate each other all the way through the entire season. As long as we don't abuse each other, I'll be happy, Ali. Are you happy with that? Because you've had a fair bit of digging from some people when you've been on this programme. You'll be back with your column. Of course, no apology from Aaron Ramsey's agent. I thought it would have been forthcoming, Ali. Did you?
No, I was not holding my breath.
Absolutely. After digging you out in the social media, it all suddenly went silent for him. But nevertheless, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll get the notifications of our content. And there's lots of it coming. And I think there's lots of things that you're going to enjoy over the course of the season. There's still some great content on there that you can savour, from Pat Nevin to Gordon Strachan to James McPake. There's a lot of good content you can look at with dream teams as well, that everybody's been picking their dream teams for the players that they played alongside, the teams that they played for, and of course we've been throwing in some of our favourite players as well. PLZ Soccer on YouTube, Monday to Friday, 4 o'clock till 5. You can watch it at your leisure if you miss it on YouTube, and you can also download the app. From Alison, from Ruffy, and from myself, Peter Martin, to each and every one of you, join us tomorrow if you can. Tam McManus will be back with us with that goatee beard, thinking he's Leonardo DiCaprio. We'll see you then.